So, Pastor, you aren't quiet. You aren't still about your testimony as it pertains to BM before marriage, with you all being together, traveling on the road.
What's BM?
Before marriage. That's BM. That's my
okay.
abbreviation for
Okay.
like before Christ.
Gotcha.
BC.
Okay.
Yeah. So before marriage, you all obviously were dating. You all were obviously together in love, traveling the world together. What was going on? Were you all sustaining, or were you all very touchy-feely?
We were praying and fasting, speaking in tongues. We were not. We did not, especially in the interim. Well, when we first started, it of course the first couple of dates didn't start off sexual, but it made a wicked turn quick.
Okay.
And because I had been celibate for a year and a half, so when I started dating her seriously, I knew that she was the one I was going to marry. So in my mind, I justified, since she's going to be the one, we might as well go ahead and do this thing now. And then, so for, I would say there was a few months, maybe 1 or 2 months. And then she put it like a pause, and she was like, if you gon' prophet, you a prophet, we can't keep doing this. So we already had talked about marriage. I had already proposed to her. But we supposed to have a fall wedding. And when she was like, we're not finna just keep having sex, and we're not just finna keep doing it. It made me move the date from October to February. We went from having a traditional wedding to a courthouse wedding.
Wow.
Because I wanted the sex sanctioned by God. So no. Now, if I would, now the question may be after that, would I recommend that? And I'll let you ask that. But definitely while we were traveling, because we were dating, dating is data collection, finding out who you're getting ready to spend your future with. And I tell anybody, take those moments of dating and courtship seriously. Don't just, spend all your time eating. I was talking to one of my sons and daughters the other day, that if you're dating, make sure it's not about everybody else and everything else. What is it about you, your future, what you have plans, your goals, your aspirations, what you're doing, what you enjoy about one another, finding out what makes them tick. And we got married. We start talking in September. I proposed in December. We were married in February. Extremely fast track. So you don't know somebody for real. She was 23 then. I didn't know her all 23 years of history other than what she told me and allowed me in. So, a part of that was some of the issues we had getting married, because I didn't fully know her. Likewise, she didn't fully know me. Right. But we enjoyed our time together, but we had a lot of obstacles thrown at us. People that didn't want her with me, people that didn't want me with her. So we had to fight through all of that, the environments and thoughts of people.
What's your perspective, co-pastor? Did you, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. No. In that space, dating, learning each other, you are dating a preacher, traveling preacher.
I wasn't traveling really then.
You wasn't?
I was local. I had started getting local momentum, but I wasn't national at that point.
Okay. You're still dating a preacher. That is getting some level of attention to have someone invite him to a church. How did you feel as a woman being married to a preacher, knowing his call, knowing that he was created to share the gospel, the good news? How did you feel knowing that on the other side, behind closed doors, we touchy-feely?
I'm going to be very honest, because I'm not saying I come from a liberal place or church, but I was used to having sinning before anything. So it wasn't like, I did what I wanted to do in this. And by me being a pastor's daughter, we were already wild children. But when he said that he wanted to be with me for the long run, I just felt the need that this the one, let me just hurry up and settle. So,
Okay.
you know, having sex and he's preaching, I knew that I didn't want to keep on doing the wrong thing. I didn't want to keep on having sex with somebody that wanted to commit to me because I knew at that time I could have been loose as a goose. And
Okay.
that's the truth.
Yeah, I understand. So I guess it kind of answers my next question. Why love over lust?
It feels good.
He didn't say why lust over love. He said why love over lust.
I didn't.
What felt so? Wait, what felt so good?
No.
It felt so good. What?
What did we love each other?
In the beginning, I think we thought we did. I mean,
We were kids.
I think there was love from where we were. Because as I say,
Okay.
as you go through maturation and growth and psychologically stretch and even your spiritual concepts, you know, I think the way you love somebody when you first get together is not how you love them when you're older. Because
Right.
experience breeds or speaks to, you know, how much you love a person. So
Right.
I often explain a relationship like elastic, and situations stretch that elastic. In the beginning, the elastic goes back to its normal form. The elasticity is lost after continual arguments, disagreements. That's when you start seeing. So in the beginning, you can have an argument, and maybe a couple hours later, you're back to normal.
Right.
Then, depending on if you keep having this same argument, depends on, okay, the effect of it, how you feel about it. I'm not going to take this, what your level of being fed up is. So our elastic was stretched in many ways a lot. It was, it's a miracle that we got back to where we were.
Wow.
I mean, so yeah, because now you got a pressure of not talking about still learning somebody. Because I told you we met in September, married in February. Now February the next year, I'm starting a church. So now you got
with a newborn.
With a newborn. So now you got the issues of trying to balance all of that and working the job. And when I first got married, when I first started dating Lady Mickles, I had a great savings account. I made a great salary. I stayed at home. So money was no issue. We got married, got a house, and I lost my job.
Yeah.
So, and I lived off of the severance and vacation pay for as long as I could. But we were eating steaks and potatoes at home. We were living like hood millionaires. And that's the truth. I had a brand new car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that money dried up kind of quick. And, our financial aspect was affected. So that affected how I responded. Because, if a man don't have money, he feels less than a man. And if a woman feel like she ain't taken care of, she going to let you have it because she feel less than a woman. And, of course, if there's no money, there's no honey. So, I mean, it affects all of that. Then you're trying to balance a church. So when I started the church, we started with 12 members, but I paid 80% of the bills.
Yeah.
I made sure the rent was paid because the members that were there, some tithe, some couldn't tithe. So, I'm paying the house note and a monthly church note.
And car note.
And car note and bills and got a newborn. So, I mean, it was extremely stressful in those points.
It was.
Wow. That's a lot.
So
even
love
in
over
itself.
less, I think you got to know that you love the person. The only thing that really kept us together was me knowing or feeling like I knew God said we were going to be together, that this is your wife. That's what, at the end of the day, when the dust settled, that this is my wife. And I'll tell you, when we first got married, in the first, was it a year and a half, 2 years? She moved out. She moved.
6 months.
It was about 6 months in. I was like, you can get out of here. Everything you came in here with, leave. And she left and went back to her mom's house. So we were getting ready to get divorced like within the first 6 months. But I never will forget, I was praying about it. Before I made a move, I want, God, is this you? And the first couple of nights, I just told God about her, how I felt about her and how I felt like she did me. And then the third night when I started talking, God said, it's you. You are the problem. I'm like, the devil is a lie. How dare you, devil, come up in my prayer time? Saying the Lord rebuke you. I'm rebuking him. So I stopped praying that night. Then the next night when I went back, he's like, you're full of pride. It's you. I'm like, devil, not again.
Wow.
But as he kept talking, I felt the unction of the Holy Ghost that this is God talking to me. So he was able to break through my stony heart because I had I was upset. I was mad. And I'm like, we can just get an annulment. We don't even have to, go through a whole year of this. If this is what it's going to be, all these arguments and disagreements, and we didn't see eye to eye, and the church and baby, and I was just over it. But then we started talking. I think we went out to eat or whatever because I'm very stubborn. And I digress.
Wow.
But yeah, I've talked enough.
You said we went out to eat dinner.
So we went out to eat, we talked, and we reconciled. She came back, ended up coming back home after we repaired and went forward. Because I heard God say, this is your wife. So I knew it was love over lust, because now this is my assignment. This is what he told me to do. Or at least that's what I believe he told me to do. So, yeah.
And that's why we come to the place, Pastor, because I like your sex than your love when we got married. I only was with him because of his sex at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So mine was lust and after that sex, and because I didn't know how to love. We got to start
good.
there. I did not know how to love. Everybody that I said that I love, really didn't love them.
That's good.
I didn't know what love really was at the time, So, and not to say because Mickles although he had money, I wasn't lust after his money. I lust after his sex.
Wow.
I could have, and at the time he didn't meet me with money or having the best of everything, because I had lost all of that when I met him. I thought I was like almost Section 8 look like a person, just about. Not that at my mind, anything like that, but I did not have when my husband met me. And so when he came along and we had intimacy for the first time, it was just that for me. And then he began to be consistent, even in our arguments. He would buy roses, cards, and stuff like that. And that's something I did not have. Somebody to give me roses and, just opening up the door, big cards and, taking me out to my favorite restaurant, which at that time was Fridays. So I didn't lust after that, but I knew then that this man is a real man. And so I might as well, whatever God's plan is, fall in love with God's plan.
That's good.
But I love him now. So.
Wow. Falling in love with God's plan. In you all's marriage, through the unstable moments, has there ever been a moment of desiring someone else?
Wow, Stephen. Yes, for me. Mm-hmm. I think that the intensity of friction and argument, not talking, because like I said, I'm very stubborn. So when I'm mad, I hold grudges. I don't talk, especially if it's something that I feel like I got rights to be mad about. So me and Madelyn have walked past each other for 30 days and not said anything.
Wow.
And she in the bathroom, I'm turning this way so you don't touch me. Like, don't come towards me.
Vice versa.
Yeah, I'm speaking for me though.
Okay.
But amen. So when I worked at the Casino Queen back in 2006, 2007, we were going through then. And there was a young lady that, she just was a nice worker. And she was like, I noticed you married. How's that going? I was like, and I kind of told her that we were going through, it was a bad time. And I didn't know what the outlook was going to be. And I didn't foresee us being married a year from then. So she started asking strategic questions like, what is your wife like? Like, how did, she had seen a picture of her, but she's like, how you like your wife to wear her hair? What do you like? What perfume do you like for your wife to wear? Back then it was something called Oxygen. And then I think it was Bob that I liked your hair, or ponytail pulled back.
Ponytail and pulled back, yeah.
And then, how does she dress? And all of a sudden, like a week or two later, I noticed that she used to come in with her uniform. She stopped wearing her uniform and started wearing clothes, heels, because I like stilettos. So she got stilettos on. All of a sudden, she wearing oxygen. She came in my office. I'm like, why you got on oxygen? She's like, then you say you like it. And I didn't realize that she was really seducing me.
Yeah.
And she, you know, I think she had 3 or 4 kids. But she was, you know, we could just start over. And you don't have to be unhappy. You're a good man. I see how hard you work. So you need, when you come home from church, you need somebody that's cook. So, you know, she had started cooking meals and all of this stuff. So once I felt,
you that part.
huh?
I never heard that.
Yeah, so she had brought a few plates.
Did you eat them?
I tasted. It wasn't. It's
wasn't
hood
good.
food. No, it was
Wow.
not my mama's cooking. It was not my cooking. But once I noticed it going too far, I told Madelyn that there's I just told her I need to tell you something. And I just came out and told her that there was another woman that had got my attention. And she would listen and she shut down. She just, what? It's not that, it's that bad? And the first night she locked the bedroom door. I couldn't come in. I slept downstairs in the living room. And even after she opened the door, she was still quiet. She didn't say anything. I think she didn't talk to me for a couple of weeks. And I had finally told my mom, like mentioned to my mom, what do you do? And I didn't know that she had talked to my mom about it. And she was just like, you have to understand women internalize things differently than men. So, yeah. Nothing ever progressed with the young lady. I became extremely mean towards her, and I shouldn't have, but unintentionally, because that was my level of defense.
Right.
The only way I could stop it from progressing was to don't come in my office like that. And when you come to work, you need to come to work dressed. You're running late if you come in here not dressed. You know, she's like, what made you change all of a sudden?
Right.
Then I took the men of my church then, and I gathered them and told them that if it's obvious they weren't praying for me because that attack came out of nowhere. Blessings go down, but attacks come up is what I told them. And they weren't warring off those things. So we had a moment of just transparency at that point.
Yeah.
That's good. I asked that question because usually when you have couples who are in ministry, a lot of times folks will look for the negative before they look at the positive. They would only come to your church to see what's wrong with the church before they receive what's right with the church. And so I asked that question because there's been a lot of, over the years, gossip, he say, she say, and though you all have had troubles, trials, tribulations, and there's been a moment of temporary thought, you all have stuck with each other.
Absolutely. And let me say this: when I was the only child, I didn't like to share. You know, I still subscribe to what the Bible says.
Wow.
One man, one woman.
One man.
I don't believe in threesomes, menage a trois. We've never invited anybody in our bedroom. I feel like that's a very private place. Yeah. I mean, so sacred that we don't even use toys. When I say toys, like dildos, robots. Now, when it comes to mechanisms, handcuffs and tongue vibrators, those things, that's different than, but you're not bringing another impression of another man's penis in my house.
Right.
So people make assumptions because of history with other pastors, but absolutely not. So I believe that there's some things that we've kept sacred and made sure that, and I didn't give her the opportunity to tell if she's been tempted to cheat or whatever.
Of course. I had a group of men at my job at work, and there's been plenty of times when principal, the other principal, he will always say how fine I was, how cute I am. Like that's, that was always somebody always saying that towards me. And during our time, it's like a weak point did come in, at that time, and the words was just right, for me. And I'm like, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. I can't do this. I love my husband, but no one knew that my husband and I were going through. But to hear those words, because at that time when my husband and I were going through, I always wanted him to say, you're fine, you're cute. I always needed affirmation from him. Like I didn't need it from nobody else. No, not from any family. But why don't my husband say these things to me? Why does he, rub me and hug me and kiss me? And at that time, I needed the affection, but he was not the one to get it. So the man would smell so good. He would do all this and do that. And that was a point of like, ooh, you can't do that no more. So I ended up working on another side in school because I knew I would have really had sex with this man. But I didn't have sex with him. So
I appreciate you all's honesty. I appreciate the truth that's coming out. I think that's needed because a lot of times people can look at you all and just title you all as the model couple, the goals. I want to be like them, but a lot of times they do not know that there's a lot of warfare. Sure. There's a lot of struggle, a lot of fighting. And it's not even necessarily the enemy, but a lot of times it's just two different people trying to come together and live as one.
Yeah. Absolutely. And let me say this, the more known and popular
right.
and perceived anointed you become, the more people that's attracted to you.
Right.
So I preach this all the time. The anointing will make a monkey look good. So you have people that are intentional. Mm-hmm. They like people that's married because they don't have to be committed. So, they're intentionally in your inbox. They intentionally wait around after service and they try to slide numbers and all of that. And that's how come I'm very, when I'm traveling, even my adjutant or even my musician that dubs is my adjutant sometimes, that they know when to move me out. I can look at them and they know, okay, prophet, it's time to go. Or if they notice something that seems irregular, because, you got all kind of people that's attracted to fame, to what they consider to be a celebrity. And I am in no wise a celebrity, but people are attracted to your future. And, I'm married to a very attractive wife. I intentionally married somebody that is a looker. So, I expect other men to be attracted to her, but it's also, you have to have a level of trust and level of security that you can't worry about if somebody likes or wants it. So.
Okay.
So you got to have those boundaries and discussions and transparencies so that as you're traveling, that whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable is what you need to do.
Okay. That's good. I'm not going to hold you all much longer. I do have a few more questions, and I want to change gears a little bit. What is the biggest lie you ever told each other?
Jesus.